Hey guys, if you're watching this video, you're probably an alto horn player or an E-flat tuba player, although really any brass player could watch this and hear how the pieces go, how the excerpts go, or get some ideas. And likewise, if you're an alto horn or E-flat player, you can also watch the B-flat video, listen to how Dave plays the excerpts. He might have some tips for you that I don't give you, so listen to that one as well. And make the most of these resources. Keep practicing every day. Make sure that you are well prepared for your audition, because you'll just feel better about how you do, and your DMA experience will be greatly improved. So as usual, we'll just go through these. I'll play the excerpt and then maybe give you a couple of tips afterwards, after each excerpt. So here we go. Number one. 1, 2, 3. On number one, the auditioners will clearly be listening for a steady rhythm as well as watching your fingerings. Those are very important. But they're also going to be listening to your pitch. Are you controlling your notes as you go up and down, especially at measures 4, 5, and 6 with those kind of tongue twisters there? How is your third valve moving? That's a tricky one. Obviously, trombone players. Wait, no, this is the E-flat video. There are no trombone players. If you're an E-flat tuba, you'll be using fourth valve instead of 1 and 3. They'll probably be looking for that too. But just practice that on your own. Make sure you get it real comfortable before you go on to the next one. Number 2. 1, 2, 3. For a lot of horn players, that is a very low note. Tuba players, you're probably going to love that one as an exercise. So horns, just make sure you're dropping your jaw, thinking about an ah or an o sound. Okay, you can't play too loud on that low A, so just make it nice and easy. And crescendo as you're going up. Make this a musical scale, not just a bunch of notes in a row, but shape the phrase. Even though there aren't dynamics listed, that's kind of implied, okay? Typically on a scale like this, a full length, smooth note with a little bit of shaping of dynamics is the way to do it. Make sure that last measure, that whole note, is actually 4 beats long. Don't get lazy and stop it after a beat or two. Horn players can probably do that in one breath if you take a big one. Tubas, you'll definitely need to breathe after the half note, perhaps even sneaking a breath in the middle. Number 3. 1, 2, 3. Don't let the eighth note scare you. It's a slow tempo. It's a tune most of you are already familiar with. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these things shall be given unto you. Alleluia. So you probably already know it. If not, it's a very catchy tune. You'll figure it out pretty quickly. It's very musical. It should not be played like a bunch of different notes, right? They're all strung together. It's still legato in style. However, every note should be tongue. There are no slurs listed here. So please use your articulation. You'll notice there are dynamics listed. So it starts soft and it gets big, and then it starts soft again and gets big until that very last note where it dies back down. So the first and second ending, you know how those work. There is only one breath mark listed in here, and that's a 4-bar phrase after measure 4. I know some of you will want to take a breath after measure 2. Some of you don't need to take a breath after measure 2. Horns, you can probably do it in one breath if you get a really good one to begin with. But if you do need to take one, make it short, quick, and full, and tasteful. But that one will be nice. You guys will do well with that. Don't let the notes scare you because they look fast on paper. It's actually not very fast. In fact, it's kind of long. Like measure 4, that D is a really, really, really long note, as you heard. So be ready for that. Write your notes in if that's more comfortable for you. Don't worry about trying to do it just reading them if you're not ready for that yet. All right, print out a copy, write them down. Number 4. 1, 2, 3. This is another major scale. We played a minor scale in number 2, so it's another scale, same thing. We want to use those crescendos and decrescendos, which are actually written in for you. There's not a dynamic level written in, so I'd play something that's comfortable. It's not going to be so soft that you have trouble getting the notes out, but it'll be super easy for you to play, a nice and comfortable volume and legato style. Of course, if you look into your first 2 flats there after your treble clef, we do have a key signature, a B flat and an E flat. Of course, this means the high B flat and the low B flat are both flat, first valve, and the 4th note, the E flat, and that is in both measures. So they're definitely going to be listening for that on your audition. You want to make sure you're observing all those notes. They'll be watching your fingers carefully for those 3rd valve notes. Those are always a little bit sus on a valved instrument. Number 5. 1, 2. This one's fun. It's a little bit tricky, but it's not too crazy. You want to really observe the dynamics and the articulation. Okay, they're assuming if you've made it this far, you know your notes, you know how to read the rhythms. So they're looking for all those really musical, nuanced things, such as do you know when to tongue, do you know when to slur? Can you do those things in contrast? There are a few little kind of awkward things for your ear to hear, like measure 4 and 5 for some of you. Might be a little funny. So when you're playing it, just start slowly. Maybe do 1 or 2 measures at a time so that you get the idea of how they go. For instance, measure 5. You might need to play that a few times on its own. Maybe measure 6 a few times. Something like that, okay? So break it down into small pieces and then put them together and it should sound really fluent. It doesn't have to be too fast. You don't want it to be too fast. Just nice and bouncy. Number 6. 1, 2, 3. Now this scale, we've got 2 sharps instead of 2 flats. It's in a little bit of a higher key, so be ready for that. Be ready to adjust and blow that air through. Tuba players, you should be using your 4th valve if you have one on all of those Ds instead of 1 and 3. Horn players, that low D, that's a sharp note on our instruments. And cornets have a slide to kick out. Low brass, most of them have a 4th valve, but we don't have either of those. So we're going to use our embouchure to just drop it a little bit. And try to bring down that pitch the most we can, bend it a little bit without sounding too funny. So practice that with a tuner even, and you should be able to get a tuner on your phone or a computer or anywhere really to find if you don't have an actual like hard copy tuner. Hard copy, is that the right word? I don't know. But and obviously they're listening for your F sharp and your C sharps going up and down. Okay, no need to play any F naturals or C naturals. Number 7. 1, 2, 3. number 7. We're in the same key as the scale we just played, but a very different style. We play our scales with a little bit more of a connected legato style, and number 7, as is listed, is marcato, which means a little bit of space between notes, nice and brisk and bouncy. Those dotted 8/16s have to be really crisp. Da, 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 da. Okay, don't make them sound like triplets. That's when they get lazy, almost like swing. Da, 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 da. No, da, 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 da. And you can play that dotted 8th with a little bit of a staccato, a little bit of separation. Da, 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 rather than da, da, da. That's pretty common to do. Notice those 16th in measure 6 or wherever that is, at the end of measure 6 going into 7, they are not slurred. It's not da, it's da 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 da. So that's a fast single tongue. I play it lightly. Don't play too loud or else it's going to be harder to do that. There are no dynamic changes listed here. There's just a mezzo forte at the beginning, but use your musician's instinct to naturally shape the phrases the way it makes sense to do. The judges will probably be looking for something like that to see how musical you can be. Number 8. 1, 2. This is a beautiful excerpt from a very well-known Salvation Army band piece, and it's a lot harder than it looks. Those first 2 notes are really, really tricky. The B to the G without hitting anything in between, keeping it smooth, keeping it legato, and slurring it like it's written. Whew, that is hard. That's slintando in measure 1. That D sharp, you might want to extend it a little bit, okay? This is one where the auditioners are not listening for, can you play everything at the exact tempo, at the exact time? No, they want to know that you can make tasteful decisions, where to speed it up, where to slow it down. You might have heard me do that a little bit, especially those tenutos going into measure 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 into 6. Listen to the way Dave plays it as well in the brass recording. I'm sure he has some interesting musical ideas that he does on this one as well. But it's a beautiful tune. The notes aren't super crazy, but making it sound lyrical and connected and very musical is very hard, especially with those jumps up and down, all right? You don't want them to sound like jumps. You want them to sound connected and easy. Number 9, fast tempo. 1 and 2. Number 9, slow tempo. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now there's no tempo marking, so my recommendation is to do it at whatever tempo is the fastest you can do cleanly. Does that make sense? So, you know, yes, the auditioners are listening for, can you play fast, can you play technically, can you play cleanly, and all those things are taken into account. But would you rather play it a little too fast and sloppy, or play it cleanly and really musically and maybe a little bit slower? You know what I mean? I think as a judge, I know what I would choose, one over the other. Now, ideally, you do it both. Ideally, you can do it at an extremely fast tempo and extremely cleanly. So this is the kind of thing, you can't fake it, right? This is what the judge is listening for. You know, not somebody who just woke up the day of and said, "Oh, I'll just finger through it once or twice and figure it out." No, like to play your chromatic scale, 2.5 octaves is something that requires dedication, like every day, working that tempo up, working that range up, all right? Those are some high notes, especially low brass players, you tuba players out there, even for a horn, you know? So what I would do is every day go slowly, even just do it with your fingers in a metronome. Even if you need to slow it down more than what I did, all right? You could do 12 beats per measure. You could literally go 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way to 12 and go to work your way up to it, right? If you started at that tempo and then sped it up a little bit every day, I mean, by the time you got to your audition, you'd be just fine. Now, in terms of the range, yeah, it's high, okay? And you can't fake your range, all right? That's something that you have to develop and build up that range. Let's say you're not at the point where you can get that C, and you know on every measure 3, you're going to go, and you know that's going to happen at measure 3, right? So what do you do in your audition? Do you go through the pain of trying to get it and not getting it, or do you just end on a note that you know you can do comfortably? That's up to you, okay? If I heard you in an audition and you played, let's say, F sharp to F sharp, and you just held out that F sharp when you got to the top line, and then on your way back down, you started on the G flat, basically you just cut out those couple of tricky beats in the middle for you, I would say, oh, okay, they know that they're not ready for that last measure, but they still wanted to demonstrate that they could play a clean chromatic scale with those 2 octaves that they are comfortable with. Yeah, I mean, I would take that into consideration, but I mean, I think that's a perfectly acceptable thing to do on your audition because you are still demonstrating your technical skills on your chromatic scale and acknowledging your limitations on it. So that's up to you. Number 10. 1, 2. It's a beautiful excerpt. It's hard, especially if you've been practicing a lot. You're going to get tired on all those long notes playing that sustained. You know, it doesn't go super high until the end, but it's going to feel high after you've been practicing for a while. So on the day of the audition, you know, that's the one I'd be most concerned about just endurance-wise. So take it easy the day before. Make sure you're well prepared ahead of time. So the dynamics are... you know, it's not super crazy loud. It's just a beautiful, strong sound. Mighty full, but not too crazy strong. Don't be shy on those long notes. I didn't do much vibrato while I played it because on the horn, I typically keep a more steady sound. But it would be an appropriate place to put a little bit of vibrato, as long as you're not overdoing it on those long notes. But give them some shape. The shape is written in as a decrescendo, but it would be okay to give it a little swell and then decrescendo. On terms of the dahata, wani, and don't rush them, don't compress them, don't go da-da-da, da-da-da. Make sure we can hear each one of those. The allegro at the end, I don't even know why it's there. It's just a long note. So just, you know, think in your head. It's a little quicker counting on that note. But you do want a nice decrescendo to the piano there. Number 11. 1, 2, 3. So number 11, to be honest, is a little too hard. It's a little too high. It really shouldn't be on this audition sheet, but I would imagine the reason it was put on there is twofold. One, so that the auditioners can really hear your range, you know, just as a challenge. Number two, to give you something to strive for and to practice for. So as you heard when I played it, I got up there, but it was a little bit squirrely sounding. Dave might have a couple of tips on his video as well. But listen, that's high, okay? That's high for everybody. Tuba players, I don't know how many of you are playing that octave up there. You know, a tuba can go the octave under and do a 2-octave scale, but that's high. There are all kinds of alternate fingerings you can use. You can try some of them out, but the truth is, you got to be able to get up to that range before you even worry about alternate fingerings. So, like, here's a couple of exercises you can do, and again, just like the chromatic scale a couple earlier, like, you're not gonna learn this the day of. This is something that takes months or years to develop this kind of range. Although you can develop this kind of range, and you should develop this kind of range. But start now, start slowly, and you've got to do it day by day. You can't cram for it all at the last minute. But, you know, just as an example, an exercise that I do that helps sometimes is a gliss, right? I mean, you can just, by playing the scale, that's a good way of doing it too, or a chromatic scale. But I might do, I'm trying to figure out the best key to doing it. Well, I'll start on a low G. Right, so I'll go from a G to a G. Let's say I want to slur or gliss from my low G to my high G. And I do it mostly on the cornet, so I'm a little rusty on this. But that's an exercise you can do. And then to the A flat. You know, and that kind of thing takes some practice and some time, but it is a way you can help develop your range, because the most challenging part about this exercise is you can't like reset your embouchure for a low note and then a high note. You have to kind of have it set and be able to play the entire range with that same embouchure. So when I'm playing a scale like this, I think about setting my embouchure, you know, and being ready for that high E before I play the first note. I have to put most of my upper lip on the mouthpiece, just a tiny little sliver of my low lip. So rather than being in the middle, which is kind of how I normally play on horn, I'll shift upward a little bit. And I want to think about what do I need to do to make that E flat come out as good as possible and go from there. Also, playing the scale fast will be helpful, I think. Don't play it too slow and not a very strong articulation. For me, slurring up there is way easier than tongue. So for me, I like to smooth out my articulation, make it as legato as possible, and that helps my air connect through as I'm doing it. But what I got to tell you is it's a hard scale. You just got to try, do your best, make a good go for it. Number 12, slow tempo. 1, 2, 3. Number 12, faster tempo. 1, 2, 3. That was just me goofing around. Obviously, that was really unclean, and if I kept working on it a little bit, I could definitely clean it up. It's very achievable because it's just scale patterns, it's just fingers. It is fast, and it is supposed to be fast, but like we've talked about before, clean and a little slower is better. But yeah, go for as fast as you can play cleanly, and that's the tempo you should set for your audition. But every day, you're getting that tempo closer and closer to the written one. This is one you absolutely must do with a metronome, either on your phone, your computer, or a hard copy metronome, as I've been calling them. But you have to use that metronome to keep everything in time, to keep everything really together. What I would do, practicing something like this, is you want to practice micromanaging it and breaking it into tiny pieces, and you want to practice it as a whole at the same time. So for instance, I might look at measure 2, for instance, starting on that first little lick. Da 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 da. All right, that much, those 7 notes. I might spend, 5 minutes on that if I need to. I don't need to spend 5 minutes. That one's not that hard. All right, I want to get that good up to tempo on its own, isolated. And then maybe I'll spend 5 minutes on the next one. By the way, it starts in an A flat. You got to look at your accidentals and see what carries over, because these measures are long and you're going to get lost in what notes sharp, flat, or natural. So here's the next in measure 2, the A flat. All right, then you can put those two together. And then, et cetera, et cetera. So the next measure, measure 3, is the hardest measure, obviously. It's got the most stuff going on in it. But the first 2 licks are not that bad. It's really the lick starting on the E natural that is hairy. That's the hairiest lick. You've got to do that one slowly. Listen to every note. Watch that G sharp. It's just it's an E major scale, E major scale. But for some reason, it's just really, really hard and awkward. So this is one, it's totally achievable, but it must be done slowly. I think there's a typo. There should probably be a crescendo in measure 2 up to the forte. So I think it just got cut off somehow. And then there's kind of an implied crescendo before the fortissimo, right? You're building up to it again. So just do those musical things that make sense. I'm sure it's just a typo that didn't get in there. Or maybe it is in there and it's not in my version. That's number 12. Here's number 13. 1, 2, 3. So a couple things on this. There is an accelerondo from 104 to 116, but that accelerondo is over 4 measures and it's barely an accelerondo. So in reality, you don't have to think about that too much. The music will take care of that itself. It's very exciting. It's got a lot going on. Da, 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 da. So let the crescendos and the writing do the work for you. I'm not too worried about that. I think you'll be fine. This one is weird. It's awkward. It just has a lot of accidentals and rhythms and stuff. So again, this is another one you can't fake. You have to really work on those. Get your valves banging down. There's just some weird fingerings in there. Something that's really going to mess with your mind. So that's really the main thing about this one. It's not too crazy otherwise. I would single tongue it. For me, I was just on the verge of the end of my single tongue at that tempo. If you go too much faster, then you're going to have to get either double tonguing or your single tongue will get really heavy. So keep it light. Just your fastest single tongue tempo is what I would do. You're welcome to double tongue it if you feel like you can do it cleanly, but I wouldn't worry about that. Those triplets in the measure before the 116, I would play them real triplety, right? Da 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 da. All right, give them a real clear. I am definitely a triplet and not a 16th, because what will happen is da 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 da. All right, you'll play that almost like the first beat in the measure, in that 3/4 measures. So make sure that's very clearly a triplet. You're gonna do great on your audition. Have fun with it. Practice a little bit every day. Do not be shy about asking for help. Play a recording and send it to somebody and say, hey, any tips for me? What can I do better on this? Make use of the resources you have. Use these videos, but also use other people, things like that. So see you at DMA.